Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and of all the sages amongst the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The banyan tree, Aswatha, is one of the highest and most beautiful trees, and people in India often worship it as one of the daily morning rituals. Amongst the demigods, they also worship Narada, who is considered the greatest devotee in the universe. Thus, he is the representation of Krishna as a devotee. The Gandharva planet is filled with entities who sing beautifully, and among them, the best singer is Chitraratha. Amongst the perfected living entities, Kapila, the son of Devahuti, is the representative of Krishna. He is considered an incarnation of Krishna, and his philosophy is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Later on, another Kapila became famous, but his philosophy was atheistic. Thus, there is a gulf of difference between them. In the translation, of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitraratha, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Bhranti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sakitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Patam Sagagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatirubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Okay, we'd like to welcome each one of you. For the benefit of devotees who joined us a bit late, we're reading from 10th chapter, verse 26. The title of this chapter is The Opulence of the Absolute. The Narada. So Nara means mankind. For those of you who know a bit of Sanskrit, Nara means mankind and Da means giver. It is a very common term that we use in India. Nara means mankind and Da means giver. So Narada is someone who gives God to everyone. So he travels across the universe, and he is also one of the 12 Mahajans. Mahajans are perfected spiritual beings, and Narada is one amongst them. And he is also called as the eternal spiritual spaceman. You may have heard this term in ISKCON. We constantly refer to Narada as the eternal spiritual spaceman. Why we call him spaceman? Because he travels across the universe, across the 14 worlds, and to the spiritual worlds as well. So he travels across. We know the 14 worlds, Attala, Vittala, Suttala, Talatala, Mahatala, Patala, Rasatala, all of them are below, and above us, Bhuloka, Bhurloka, Swargaloka, Janaloka, Mahaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka, which is called as Brahmaloka, which is the highest one. So he travels across the 14 worlds and he preaches the glories of the Lord. And he is also a perfect brahmachari. So these are some information about Narada Muni, because we are reading about Narada Muni in this particular verse. And from Linga Puran, from Linga Puran, there is a story as to how Lord Krishna himself personally gave Veena, which is a stringed instrument, to Narada personally. So Lord Krishna himself gave Veena to Narada Muni, and because it was a personal gift of Krishna to Narada Muni, it is equivalent to Narada Muni carrying Krishna everywhere where he goes. And he plays in that stringed instrument, he sings the glories of the Lord, he preaches about Lord Krishna everywhere he goes. So that is the picture that you see in the book, especially Narada Pancha Sutra book. It is an yellow book from BBT. You may have seen that, where Narada Muni is playing Veena. So that Veena is a personal gift by Lord Shri Krishna to Narada Muni. And what about his previous lives? Anybody remembers Narada Muni's previous life? So many of you may have heard about his previous life as a son of maid servant. But if we read the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is in the 15th chapter, there we get to read about Narada Muni's previous life, 2 lives prior to him being Narada Muni. So 7th canto. So his name was Upabarhana. Upabarhana was the name of Narada Muni 2 lifetimes before he was actually Narada Muni. And Upabarhana was a Gandharva. He was a very, very famous Gandharva. So in this verse, we are reading about a Gandharva known as Chitraratha. And Krishna is saying, amongst the Gandharvas is Chitraratha. Now here, Narada Muni was also a Gandharva in the previous life of Brahma. And in the higher planetary systems, there was a grand festival that was taking place, put up by the Prajapatis. Prajapatis are progenitors. So Prajapatis are Daksha, Atri Muni, Bhrigu Muni, all of them are considered as progenitors. So Narada Muni, when we read from the 7th canto, it is said that he was called as Upabarhana, and he used to have a wonderful voice, because all Gandharvas have great voice. They are famous for singing wonderfully well, and they usually get married to the beautiful Apsaras, who are heavenly dancers. But in this case, Narada Muni did not get married at that time, and he was a wonderful singer, and he was the most handsome Gandharva there. And when we read again in Canto 7, it is said that unfortunately, when he went to this grand festival put up by these Prajapatis, he was singing the glories of demigods when they were singing the glories of Lord Krishna. So he started singing about the glories of demigods, and he was accompanied by lusty women when he went there. So according to Srimad Bhagavatam, because of these 2 reasons, singing the glories of the demigods when everybody was singing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and also having the association of lusty women. So even in the heavenly planets, there are Apsaras who are lusty. Because of these 2 factors, the Prajapatis cursed Narada Muni. Because of your beauty, your behavior is so forbidden, and they actually cursed Narada or Upabarhana to become the son of a Sudra. And in the next life, he became the son of a pious Sudra woman. And that is a common story that we have heard. And that story is in the 1st canto. So it is the first life that we know of, 2 lives before Narada, is in the 7th canto, and his life as the son of the only son of the maidservant is in the 1st canto itself. So he gets cursed, and then he is born as this only son of this pious maidservant. And fortunately, there are some traveling mendicants. Traveling mendicants come, very, very pious saints, they come. And then Narada Muni's mother is serving these saints wonderfully well. She takes care of them well. And because he was 5 years old, he was following whatever his mother was doing. And he had this opportunity to eat the remnants of the food meals left by these great devotees of the Lord. And also he was fortunate to hear about the spiritual glories of the Lord. And these 2 factors, according to the 1st canto, it says that Narada Muni was intoxicated in the love of God, serving the devotees of the Lord as through their association and hearing their pastimes, as well as eating the remnants of the food that were left behind by these great devotees. So he was intoxicated with love of God. And after some time, all these great saints and sages left, and one day when Narada Muni's mother was going to milk a cow, a snake bit her feet and she died. So Narada Muni's mother, at that time he was not called as Narada Muni, he was a son of maidservant. So she died, and he was left all alone at that time, and he was wandering through the jungles, and he had no one but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because he got the love of God from these sages. So he was meditating. Once when he was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead manifested in his heart. He saw the actual form of the Lord within him, and he wanted to keep that vision for a longer period of time, but the Lord disappeared. And he was trying to meditate harder and harder to recapture that image of the Lord that came within him, but he could not get it back. And then he realized that the Supreme Personality of Godhead will not appear because of somebody's wishes, but by his own will, he will appear and disappear. So his love for God increased more and more. So he was not like a typical boy, it says in Srimad Bhagavatam. He was not interested in playing. He was not interested in talking too much that is unnecessary. And he was not naughty. It says exactly he's not naughty as well when he was a little boy. So he was meditating, and when he was growing bigger, when it was time for him to leave the body, he was perfectly ready to leave the body in God consciousness. And right when it is said that lightning and I think thunder together, that's how he left his body, thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, due to his devotional service, he took the next birth in the next life of Brahma as Narada Muni. And he manifested from the heart of Brahma. So that is a short life history of Narada Muni and his 2 lifetimes prior to him being Narada Muni. So first life was Upabarhana, when he was a Gandharva, and then the second life he was the son of a maidservant and became Narada. What about his teachings? So as we briefly said, there is a yellow book, I think it is still there in that bookshelf, the yellow book, I think it's called Narada Bhakti Sutra. And this particular book, sutras, if you know, it's like Vedanta Sutra. So if you know about sutras, the word sutra, it's a small aphorism. It's all one-liner or less than one line. So it is like a formula. And Prabhupada has quoted several times that we have to be very careful when we read the sutras, any sutras, Vedanta Sutras or Narada Bhakti Sutras, because it can be interpreted in many different ways. So we are fortunate because the yellow book called Narada Bhakti Sutra has been, it's a bona fide book because it's got 84 sutras and 13 of them were translated by Srila Prabhupada, and the purport was also written by Srila Prabhupada. So if you read in the beginning of Narada Bhakti Sutra, it says 13 of the 84 sutras were personally done by Srila Prabhupada, and the rest of the verses were translated by Satswarup Goswami, who was authorized by GBC to actually translate and provide purports for the rest of the verses. So if you get a chance, if you can take a copy of that book and read, it's a wonderful book, Narada Bhakti Sutra. So those are some of the teachings of Narada Muni can be read from that particular book. And also, Narada Muni's teaching is spread throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. In almost all the cantos, there are some instructions by Narada Muni. And also, the famous book, Narada Pancharatra. So this is something that His Grace Bhakti Yoga Prabhu will be able to explain some other day to all of us, but it's about Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi Bhakti means it's following the rules and regulations and praying to the Lord. So these are some of the teachings of Narada, the sage Narada. And what about the disciples of Narada Muni? So there are several disciples of Narada Muni. First of all is Valmiki, who wrote Ramayana. So he's a disciple of Narada Muni. Then we have Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was a disciple of Narada Muni. Durva, he was a disciple of Narada Muni. And then Prachetas were also disciples of Narada Muni. Then there is also in third canto we read about a king who lost his life, Chitraketu, his son's life, Chitraketu. He was also a disciple of Narada Muni. But who's the most famous disciple of Narada Muni is Vyasadeva himself. So Vyasadeva is our guru and he's the guru of guru. So that is Narada Muni. And the same Narada Muni appeared.
He is guru for Prahlad Maharaj also?
Yes. I thought I mentioned, sorry. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Valmiki, Chitraketu, Prachetas. And the same Narada Muni appeared at 526 plus 30 years. 556 years ago, same Narada Muni appeared as Srivas Thakur. So why 526 years is because that was the time when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared, and he appeared 30 years before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before he appeared, he sent some of his eternal associates before him. And who are they who appeared before him? Jagannath Mishra was his father, was none other than Nanda Maharaj. And Sachi Mata, she is none other than Yasoda Mata. Then Advaita Acharya, who is a combined incarnation of Vishnu, Mahavishnu and Sadasiv. He appeared before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Haridas Thakur, Ishwara Puri, Madhavendra Puri. So Ishwara Puri is the one who gave initiation to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Madhavendra Puri is the spiritual master of Ishwara Puri. And Keshava Bharati is the one who gave him sannyas initiation. So before the Lord can appear, he made all this eternal associates appear before him. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the year 1486, and then we had the wonderful appearance day celebration last Thursday. And Srivas Thakur appeared, his appearance day was yesterday. So Srivas Thakur's appearance day was yesterday. So that's why this verse was chosen, because it describes about Narada Muni, and Narada Muni again incarnated as Srivas Thakur. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared 526 years ago in West Bengal, and he's also called as Mahavadanya Avatar, Krishna Prema Avatar, as well as he's called as Patita Pavana Avatar. And the Lord does not come by himself, as we discussed. Some of the devotees, eternal companions of the Lord, came before the Lord, as well as the most famous verse that all of us should know by now. It is repeated 5 times. So please make note of it. One particular verse is repeated 5 times in Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Once in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and 4 times in Chaitanya Charitamrita. 1 in Adi Lila, 2 in Madhya Lila, and 1 in Antya Lila. And what is this verse? This is the verse that when Maharaj Nimi was ruling Mithila, he was visited by the 9 Yogendras, Nava Yogendras, and the last of the 9 Yogendras explained this particular verse. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sankupaka Sapasava Eknyai Sankirtana Prayir Ejantime Sumedasa. So in the age of Kali, intelligent person perform congregational chanting of the holy name to worship the incarnation of God, who always chants the name of God. Although his complexion is not blackish, because it's Trisa means golden in color. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself, and he is accompanied by his personal associates, weapons, and servitors. So he comes with his eternal associates. Who are the eternal associates? Nityananda Prabhu is none other than Lord Balaram, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, as we discussed, none other than a combined incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadasiv. Gadadhar is none other than Srimati Radharani, and Srivas Thakur is none other than Narada Muni. And also Haridas Thakur is none other than a combined incarnation of Lord Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj. He used to chant 300,000 names of God every day, which equals to 174 rounds. I think we discussed this last week. 174 rounds a day. So initiated devotees chant 16 rounds a day, which totals to 27,468 times the name of God. And when we chant one round of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is 108 times, we chant 1,728 times the name of God. So all these are eternal associates of the Lord who came with the Lord. And Srivas Thakur appeared 30 years before the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What are the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He quoted from Brihad Naradiya Puran, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Kalu Nasteva, 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 there's no other way, no other way, no other way. In this age of Kali, for God realization, other than chanting of the name, holy name, holy name, holy name. And if people be wondering, what is this holy name? What is the specific holy name? Then he quoted Kali Kali Nama Rupa Krishna Avatar, Nama Aite Jagat Nishna. So it says, in the age of Kali, Lord Krishna has incarnated in the form of his holy name, in the form of his Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So he's given us, this is how you get delivered in the age of Kali. And he also quoted from Kali Santarana Upanishad, where it says, the same Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Iti Shodashakam Nam Kali Kalma Sanasanam Nata Paratropaya Sarva Vedeshu Drisyate. So this is a conversation between Narada Muni himself and Brahma. And Narada Muni is asking in the age of Kali, because this was at the end of Dwapara Yuga, how can this, in this iron age of Kali, people can be delivered? So Brahma says it's a very, very relevant question that you asked on behalf of people in Kali Yuga. After searching through all the Vedic scriptures, there is nothing more potent than this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So before we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, what we do is we chant the Panchatattva Mantra. So again, Srivas Thakur's name is also there. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasaki, Gaura Bhakta. Why do we chant that? We chant that according to Mahanidhi Swami, who's one of Prabhupada's disciples. He's written a wonderful book called Art of Chanting the Holy Name. And in that he says, we get two benefits, two protection when we chant this Panchatattva Mantra before the Hare Krishna Mantra. One is, we will be able to chant without offenses. Because to chant the Panchatattva Mantra, the offenses are not taken into consideration. But to chant the holy name of the Hare Krishna Mantra, 10 offenses are there. Not to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for the propagation of the holy name of the Lord. All those 10 offenses are there. But to chant the Panchatattva Mantra, there are no offenses. So when we chant the Panchatattva Mantra first, they will protect us against any of the offenses that we may commit against the holy name. So it's a protection, as well as the costless mercy that we get from the Panchatattva. And how does the Panchatattva end? Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasaki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So all the other devotees of the Panchatattva. So we get all the mercy from the other followers of the Panchatattva as well. So when we chant the Panchatattva, we get this protection and we get the mercy. And we will not do Nama Aparadha, which is the offense to the holy name. Now, so from the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we know that chanting is the only way in this age of Kali, and we should chant without offenses. But what we've also heard from Padma Puran, Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha, Purna Suddho Nityamukto, Vinatva Nama Namini. So there is no difference between the name of Krishna and Lord Krishna. So if we think, when we chant the holy name of the Lord, even if you are thinking of something, if you are watching TV, if you are driving the car, we think it's okay because the name of the Lord is Krishna himself. But then our Acharyas clearly say, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, making the sound of, or pronouncing the syllable is not the actual name. So when you say name of Krishna, that means it has to be, the spirit has to be in the name. We have to be in Krishna consciousness when we are chanting the name. We cannot think of something else and just pronounce that syllable. So Krishna is not in the word Krishna, but is inside. Just like the example they give is a capsule. A capsule is there, it's coated outside, but inside is what is more important. It can have the medicine, it can even have a cyanide or poison, because if you're chanting with the thought process of blaspheming a devotee, so that is not going to work. So outer covering the name Krishna, you have to go deeper inside and have that spirit inside. It's like they say shooting blanks. You have heard that term. Let's not think about, but if you think of Olympics, where they are air rifle shooting, when they shoot, you have a cylinder which has got 6 holes, and if there is one bullet in there, so 5 times when you shoot, it's like shooting. But is there a desired result of hitting the target? No. So we have, and also when we chant the name of Krishna, we are inviting Lord Krishna. And if we ignore Lord Krishna, it's like background music. When we keep chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are chanting, but it's like a background music, but our mind is going so many places. So we all experience that. Nobody is perfect. We cannot say that I'll be able to chant without any distraction, with Nam, Aparat. We cannot do that. It's very difficult. Even in Bhagavad Gita, even Arjun is telling Krishna, Chanchala Vimana Krishna, Pramati Balavat. So he says to control the mind is more difficult than controlling the raging wind. And how many of us can control the wind? Any storm can be diverted here and there? We cannot. So we all know it's a problem. And here, Swarup Damodar Das is giving us a wonderful explanation how we can overcome this gradually. It is when we offer our respectful obeisances to Srivas Thakur. His name is Suddhanama Ashraya. So it's the shelter of the pure holy name. So if we think of Srivas Thakur, who's an incarnation of Narada Muni, we will be able to chant without a distraction, without Namamra. So as I said, he was born. His father's name was Jaladhar Pandit, and he was in a family of 5 brothers. He was the second brother. The elder brother is called as Nalina Pandit, and he had 3 other brothers, Shriram, Srinidhi, and another brother. So he had 3 younger brothers. And till the age of 16, Srivas Thakur was actually very impious. He was not paying any, he did not give any respect to Brahmins, did not give any respect to the Vedic literatures. And at that time, a voice told him, not in a dream, a voice really in front of him told him that you will have 1 more year to live. After that, you're going to die, because he was leading a miserable life. And at that time, he took that advice, that voice, very seriously. He lived like in the mood of Parikshit Maharaj, because he knew he's going to live only 7 days, and he heard this transcendental Srimad Bhagavatam from the lips of Sukhdev Goswami. Like that, for 1 year, Srivas Thakur lived a very wonderful, pious life. And then, exactly after 1 year, he was listening to Srimad Bhagavatam, Prahlad Maharaj's pastime. From the balcony, he fell down and he left his body. Right away, he left his body when he was 17 years old. He fell down, left his body. The soul left his body. Mystically, miraculously, the soul re-entered the body with the spirit of Narada Muni. And then after that, he was preaching the glories of God. And he knew, because as I said, he was born 30 years before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when this happened, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear yet. And after many, many years, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired from him, so you did survive when you fell down from the balcony. And then he knew this was a leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for him to get back into the track of spiritual consciousness. So that is how he changed course. And there are wonderful pastimes of Srivas Thakur. Once what he was doing is he was holding his hand in front of sun. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, what are you doing? He said, I'm trying to block the sun. This is in Chaitanya Bhagavat. How can you block the sun? So similarly, Srivas Thakur told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, similarly, you are trying to tell us that you are not Lord Krishna, but you cannot cover that fact. You are a combined incarnation, you are a combined form of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani. You come in this mood and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. This happened because in Gambhira, in Jagannath Puri, the devotees Advaita Acharya and the other devotees were reciting one particular prayer which was very famous in Orissa at that time. It was called Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Rama Shri Radha Govinda. So this is one sort of prayer which was bona fide at that time. It is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, why are you chanting my name? You should chant Krishna's name. At that time he said, blocking the sun, you cannot block the sun. Similarly, you cannot hide the fact that you are a combined incarnation of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Once there was a brahmachari, and this brahmachari was a very pious brahmachari leading a very austere life. He was surviving on only fruits and milk. and he wanted to see this beautiful kirtan that goes on every night in Srivas Thakur. And they were not allowed because the doors were always shut for outsiders. And then he begged every day to Srivas Thakur, and Srivas Thakur said, it's okay, come. But you cannot stay in front of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he does not like. Hide and watch this kirtan. So he was hiding. Lord Krishna knows past, present and future. So he said, something is wrong today. I'm not getting this nectarian bliss that I'm used to when I dance and chant in Srivas Angan. Then he asked Srivas Thakur, is somebody hiding here? Then he said, yes, there is a brahmachari who's hiding here, but he's very pious, he's very austere. Then he said, no, if somebody is austere and they're surviving on fruits and milk, that does not mean he can attain me. Only through pure devotional service he can attain me. Ask him to leave. So that brahmachari put his head down and he was walking out. And then at that time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called him, put his lotus feet on his head, and he got Krishna Prema instantaneously. And he started coming to these wonderful kirtans every night, very often. Then there's another pastime of Gopal Chapala. This is in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This Gopal Chapala was a Brahmin and he was a non-believer. And every time when this kirtan was going on in Shiva Sangan, what he does is, one day he took a banana leaf with vermilion, red vermilion, turmeric and rice, and he placed outside the house of Srivas Thakur. Because that type of offering you do for Durga. And they are not devotees of Durga, though they are Durga, everybody gives respect, but he does not offer so much of exclusive devotion to Durga. And then he opened the door and he saw that, and he called all his neighbors. Srivas Thakur himself called all his neighbors, and he said, see what type of devotee I am. I am praying to a goddess Durga. Because they usually eat meat and alcohol. So he said, yeah, I'm bad, you see, I'm praying. Then all the neighbors knew that that is not right, and Srivas Thakur is not a devotee like that. In 3 days' time, for the sin that he committed, Gopal Chapala got leprosy. He got leprosy. There was sores from his body, pus and blood was coming. And then he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to cure him, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you will have to suffer for 10 million lifetimes for the sin that you committed. And then he left. After he took sannyas, he came back. After he took sannyas, when he came back, he said, you can actually go and fall at the feet of Srivas Thakur